All right, we are just about to get going. We see a whole bunch of people joining. We will get rolling in about a minute. It's fun watching that attendee list grow as people join.
Yeah, it's good. I appreciate everyone being so on time.
Yes, and like we normally do, we're gonna honor those that are on time by getting going. Are you ready to go, Jermaine?
Let's go.
All right. So quick intro, because we have a ton of stuff that we want to, ton of tips we want to give you today. So welcome to Are You Torturing Your Team with Email Overload and Bad Meetings? This is an executive focused webinar training on how to better support your team using technology, particularly the Microsoft 365 suite, SharePoint, Teams, Outlook, et cetera. We do these webinars every month. Jermaine and I host these webinars, and our goal is to leave you smarter and fired up about technology. Give you some ideas that will empower you to use technology better, but do it in a not super tech speak type of way. So our topic today is going to be lots of fun. We actually have 19 ideas that we're going to give you today. So by way of introduction, I am joined from actually across the country. Jermaine, you're in Alberta today, right?
Yeah, frigid Alberta, loving it.
Jermaine's attending a vendor conference and today, and so hopefully the hotel Wi-Fi will be in good shape and keep you with us.
Definitely. I'm sitting about 2 feet away from it, so I think we'll be good.
My name is Brendan Howe. I'm the CEO of Techify. Jermaine's our VP of Operations. Together, we do these webinars usually third Tuesday or third Wednesday of every month, depending on scheduling and that sort of thing. There's a couple of things we do with these webinars. We try and do a little bit of choose your own adventure-ish. So we've come up with a bunch of tips that we think will be very useful for you to manage email overload and making meetings better. Because we came up with so many tips, we have 19 of them. So we're going to go through them pretty quick. What we want you to do is in the Q&A panel, and then we're going to pull up a poll, probably about, Jermaine, maybe remind me about halfway through, we'll pop up the poll. And at the end of this session, we'll be about 30 minutes-ish. At the end of it, we'll come back and we'll go into more detail on any of these that you want. So that's the choose your own adventure bit. So we're going to give you a bunch of ideas to stimulate your thinking. Some of these ideas you might be like, I already knew about that. That's not that exciting. That's fine. So we'll go through these pretty quick, but tell us what you want us to come back to and dive into a little bit more information. But before we get rolling here, here's our next webinar, May 24th, how they attack. So we have a detective from the Toronto Police Services who's going to share some real life stories from the cybersecurity front lines. What cyber criminals are doing right now, what this gentleman's seeing in his day-to-day work. So if you go to that, there's a QR code that's showing up on your screen. If you want to register for that webinar now, go ahead. Obviously, it's on our webpage, and if you're on this webinar, you're likely on our email list, so you'll get a reminder about that coming up too. So without further ado, let's get rolling with our topic of today. So some crazy stuff. This is the number of emails sent and received worldwide between 2017 and projected by 2025. So projected this year, and this is in billions. So it's expected this year that sent and received emails, almost 350 billion emails. Maybe it's safe to say the world has a bit of an email problem. We're all being bombarded. There's way too many emails. There's way too much stuff going on. Here's something else to consider. The average office worker spends around 4.1 hours daily checking and sending emails.
Wow.
4.1 hours.
That's just half your day.
How are we doing this to people? We're making them spend half their day on email. It's nuts. On average, let's talk about distractions, right? On average, employees are distracted from work every 10 minutes, which results in a loss of concentration that takes approximately 25 minutes to recover fully. 25 minutes. So this accumulates to an average of 2 hours spent daily on concentration recovery. So we have squirrel running all over the place, right? And so we're paying people 2 out of the 8 hours they work. We're just paying them to come back and recover concentration.
Yeah, if you think about that, really, between the 4 hours of email, 2 hours of figuring out how to get back to doing your email, 6 hours of the workday is already gone. So we've got 2 hours of productivity left. That's kind of crazy.
I think it's nuts. Okay, so what we're talking about, first thing, so we got 2 topics. First topic we're going to talk about is reducing email overload. And we have 10 ways that we're going to suggest to you to reduce email overload. Jermaine, why don't you get us started with number 1?
Happy to jump on that. So, the focused inbox is an amazing tool that we wanted to make sure everybody had a good idea around. And the challenge with emails in your inbox is you get 5,000 emails. If you do the math, 350 billion emails being sent, and there's only 8 billion people in the world, of which only 2 billion probably work, of which 1.5 have good internet to send emails. And you do that kind of calculation, you're sending, 50,000 emails a day back and forth around the world, stuff just kind of circulating into your inbox. And you want to be able to not be overloaded and not miss the things that are in your inbox because of so much clutter and promotional stuff, important business things, whatever's coming into your inbox. You don't want 50,000 emails in your inbox and you can't figure out which ones you want to do. So you want to use focused inbox, and the focused inbox works in 2 awesome ways. One, once you've turned it on, as you go along, it learns about the AI portion of that, learns about who you respond to on a regular basis, what are your important emails, and it'll put all of those emails into your focus section. You can also, if say it's a new vendor or somebody else you're now working with, you can right click on somebody's incoming email and say, hey, I'd like to move this to my focused inbox, which will then tell it to always bring emails from that vendor, person, partner, etc., into that focused inbox. So it's 2 great ways to now all of the other clutter, the marketing, the invites, all the other stuff that you don't need to focus on for your productivity sanity. You go ahead and you leave that in the other inbox. So it's focused and other, which again, you do that, and that'll really help you to minimize the amount of emails that you need to go through in any one given time or day. The other thing that we would want to add to as we kind of talk through this, because they interlink with each other, the second idea here is everybody here, I know if I were to ask you to put a hand up, you'd say, yes, I typed the person's name that I want to ask a question in the toolbar. Then I come down and I write the email and I say, hey, John, Susie, whomever. If you're writing an email to a group of people and you want to dole out objectives to everyone in that same email, you just use the @mentions. You put the @ sign in the beginning, put the person's name in. Microsoft Outlook will populate that person's name. It will also add their email address to the toolbar. So you're doing all of this stuff by just utilizing the keyboard in the body of the email, which then also identifies to that person who receives the email. It pushes it up to the top of their inbox, and they float. So if I get mentioned in an email and I know that I need to action something in there because somebody said @Jermaine, please do ABC, that email will stay at the top of my inbox, and it'll continue to float over any new incoming email to make sure that the things that I'm responsible for or I need to action are staying at the top of my inbox. And the problem here is you miss important tasks. Too many emails coming in. Hey, guys, did you see my email about blah, blah, blah? Now you've got an email asking if you've seen the last email in your inbox. Can you go ahead and get that done for me? Did you see X email I sent at 8 a.m. this morning? No. because nobody mentioned me, and I've got 1,800 emails in my inbox just from all the vendors and stuff. So you want to get rid of that clutter and move everything up to the top of your inbox and remove that problem for yourself.
So here's one that I really like: rules. Implementing rules. The problem here is so many of us spend a bunch of time doing the same thing over and over again, and we don't use automation. We don't use the technology available. So simple example, Uber. We get receipts in from Uber. You get receipts in from all sorts of places. You get invoices. You may get emails that you just automatically file because you don't want to delete them. You need them, but you don't need to do anything with them. Create a rule. You can create a rule for just about anything that can really structure your inbox. Say so for example, Arem, who put together this presentation for us, has a screenshot here of a rule that she put together, and she did this in her webmail. You can do this in Outlook as well. But the rule says, if you get an email from Brendan, it goes to a certain folder. Hopefully it's not the junk folder that she has. And so you can say certain people, their emails go to these folders automatically. So you stop moving those emails to different folders. Or you can do things like you can have your email respond to certain types of emails, automatic responses, automatic things, automatic go to trash. You can do things with attachments. There's all sorts of really great things you can do with rules. You can even change the color of certain types of emails and format them. And so there's a fantastic world to explore there that will really kind of help automatically reduce the amount of emails that you have coming in, and then allow you to deal with them way, way better. Another one that I really like, another way that I really like for helping control inbox overload is dealing better with the problem of scheduling. We've all seen the emails going around of, hey, when can we meet? When can you interview this candidate? When can we get together for drinks? When can we do this? When can we do that? And we don't all benefit from having a team of assistants. In fact, fewer and fewer people have assistants. So we want to use technology to do this better. I don't want to see 6 or 10 or 15 emails going back and forth in my inbox about trying to schedule something and trying to keep up with it. So there's 2 ways that you can manage this better. One is through the scheduling assistant. So you can put a scheduling poll through scheduling assistant, and Outlook now has a quick key to do this, where you decide, and you see the screenshot that we have here, you decide what it is that you're trying to schedule, who you want to involve. It will automatically give you different options based on the availability of those people. And then you send them a note publishing those options, and they get to decide. And they just one click, I want this one, I want this one, or I can do yes, no to all of the above. And then you come back a day later, a couple hours later, whatever, look at it, schedule your meeting, and you're not being bombarded by emails. So that's more suitable for if it's internally, or if you know everybody has a Microsoft 365 account. If they don't have a Microsoft 365 account, or you're unsure, or you're sending it to a lot of people, what you might want to do is what I do on a regular basis with my CEO group, with the hockey team I organize and stuff like that. I'll click, if you see, this is an email message in my inbox. You see in the top left corner, there's a little button there that I've added that's for polls. And so you click that button, the polls will come up on the right-hand side, and then you can type right there what day works best for you. You put the days and the time. You can have people answer only one or multiple answers. And then if you click next down at the bottom, it adds it to the email. So what people see is they get an email, and then they just click within that email and answer your question. You get no further emails. You don't get all this junk flying back and forth. And then you come back to it when you want to come back to it and say, okay, I had 10 out of 12 people said this date is the best date, so we're going to go forward with that date. And again, we've eliminated that email overload, all the stuff going back and forth.
Another another great way to make sure that we're removing that clutter, removing that overload from your email inbox is the same challenge. If you're trying to figure out a time for a meeting, imagine trying to figure out what somebody wants to do for a team event, or what they want to do for a celebration with the clients, or somebody's hit their anniversary of 10 years at Techify, and we want to figure out which one of these three presents would you prefer, A, B, or C. And you can use that by collecting info via forms polling as well. And the problem, you want to get away from sending 5 or 6 different emails and the person's like, oh, well, what about this one versus this one? And then there's this whole exchange going back and forth again. And that, again, is ballooning the amount of emails that you get in your inbox. What you want to do is when you use a forms polling, same idea applies. You create a quick poll. You can create a template and save it. So every time you need the type of poll, you just duplicate, send it out to the intended recipient, and then you get the feedback, and you can collate all those results and see, as an example, you've got 35 people for an event. Who wants to go to this location, this location, this location? Choose the top 2 for yourself. You pick it, and then you get 87% of your attendee base has now said, we want to go to karaoke night. Ta-da, decision made. And you move on from there. So now there isn't 35 times 5 emails in your inbox trying to make a decision.
Yeah, and then when somebody questions, does a team of technical people really want to go to karaoke night? It's all in the forums. It's there. Other applications, like I would reinforce what Jermaine said. I really think email is a bad tool for information collection from multiple people. So anything that you have, say you're looking for feedback from staff, like we do this before our quarterly meetings and planning sessions, that we'll we'll ask staff and say, hey, what are the biggest kind of initiatives you want to work on next quarter? Or what do you think that we need to address as a company? Or different questions like that. Years ago, that stuff used to come in by email, and then it would be like cut and paste and organize and try and put together. Now it's great. We just use forms and then send out a quick survey, and then you can just export it to an Excel document. It's all in one place. You can review it together all at the same time. It's a wonderful place.
Yeah, another great one when we talk about this. So yes, you still have to send some emails. You're going to have to still send some emails, but you don't have to send as many. And if you're sending, you should have, if you're sending the same types of emails to different people over and over and over again, you want to have something that not only builds the efficiency of that, but standardizes your communication so that there's only key areas that you need to change. So, as an example, the name of the person and the date and time of whatever onboarding, etc. So let's say you welcome your new employees with a nice email with a link in it and a video of, welcome to our team. Here's what your next week's going to look like, kind of thing. You build out a beautiful template with that, save it in your My Template section within your Outlook. And from there, you're now, every single time you hire a new employee, all you have to do is click on that template, fill in the employee's name, and everything else is there. You change the start date and you move on. So now you've taken something that you do on a repetitive basis, and you've now turned it into a template that can be easily distributed back into your email and sent off. So what would have taken, depending on the person's typing speed, etc., what would have taken you 3 or 4 minutes is now taking you 30 seconds. And that really greatly improves your utilization and makes it a bit more efficient for the drafting and using utilization emails. And this could work for pretty much anything.
Yeah, some cases those emails are 10 to 15 minutes, right? Like we've gone across our operation and we still have work to do. I still have work to do on this particularly. There's so many different areas of our service delivery where we're sending the same emails over and over again, yet people are writing the emails over and over. Like why spend more than one time drafting the email that you're going to send once a week or once a day or multiple times a day or stuff like that? And the thing that's important to remember about this is that templates are personal to you, right? So it's you, when you're coaching staff members on using this properly and you're coaching your team, they need to be coached to create their own templates, or you can provide the templates and they can add them, like you see on the right hand side of the screen there, to their own Outlook. All right, let's keep moving along. We're going to move to, one of my personal favorites. In our company, we instituted a rule a number of years ago that you're not allowed to send attachments. You're not allowed to email attachments. Attachments are like the scourge of your inbox. Like, why does your inbox get overloaded? Why does it run out of space? Probably attachments, right? So maybe you can't eliminate attachments from externally, but you can definitely eliminate attachments internally. And so if you share any sort of documents, share them through SharePoint, share them by sending a link. You can even send it through Teams as opposed to email, or you can send it through email, and then you won't get the back and forth, the continual back and forth of I changed this, or here's the latest version, or you have to search through your inbox to find out when the last version that got emailed over. Now, your data needs to be in SharePoint or OneDrive in order to do this. But once it's there, it's a way better place for collaboration. And then people, when they're working on those documents too, they can put notes of, hey, I think we should change this, or I changed this, or they can just go in and change it. And then you don't get an email back saying, hey, Jermaine, I really think you should change this slide on SharePoint in the PowerPoint presentation. Can you please change it to this, this, this? And then Jermaine gets that email, and then he's got to read it, and then he's a little frustrated that I've made this change, and then he's got to go and do it, as opposed to if I just go in and make the change. It's done, and we're all happier. Another area that that can really reduce the inbox overload is your simple messages. I think we're progressively getting more and more used to this in the world of text messages, where people are sending messages through Teams chats instead of always through email. Like, you got something quick to say, or I'm on the call, or there's a package for you at the front door, or whatever. Don't overload somebody's inbox. Don't make me feel like I got to check my email every 3 minutes, right? Email should be for stuff that I can check, maybe I check a couple times in the morning, right? A couple times a day, right? And anything quick can go through Teams. The other thing that we can do is we can add things into Teams, like Microsoft approvals, for example. And we can create flows for approving and getting signatures and documents and that sort of thing. So we can use our other applications so that we no longer get emails. So you're still going to get a notification, you're still going to get a Teams notification, but it helps manage that. It's a better place to put it a lot of times, and it helps manage that inbox overload. Jermaine, do we have anything else?
Yeah, there's another one that's super important for a lot of people. Try to do task management by email. Hey, John, give me an update on where you are with said thing that you're working on for me. I need to know whether or not you're going to be done by Wednesday. Can you send me a quick note? Let me know. And then there's back and forth emails going around. And he's like, oh, I thought I had to do it on Thursday. Okay, here's part 1, and I'll email you part 2, et cetera, et cetera. So everything that we've talked about and discussed so far coming down to this is that it's all about centralizing and removing that back and forth, getting rid of the additional exchanges and clutter, and doing better task management overall by being alerted as to what's there for you to do. Make sure that the stuff that is assigned to you gets done, get rid of the clutter, stop the back and forth. And what you can do is, one of the key aspects of that is using Tasks by Planner in your Microsoft Teams again. Like, it's in there, you just turn it on, you start using it, and you create buckets of especially repeatable tasks that people need to do on a weekly or a monthly basis, etc. And you want to set those tasks, assign it to a team member. And now with that, it automates the follow-ups. It'll, remind the person when at 2 days before, remind them at the day before to make sure that the thing gets done. And it's automated follow-ups and updates when you want to know what progress they're making. You get an update, a ping saying, this item has been completed, this item is 50% done, this item has been overlooked and has not had any progress in 5 days. And all of this is automated just because you've set it up, you've assigned someone the task, and then the planner goes ahead and just updates you on a regular basis and updates the employee to make sure that they're reminded to do the thing. which is important. Again, it takes away a lot from you as an individual having to chase and or follow up with that person about the thing that you're looking for, right? It's super important. So now you take all of that and you mush it together. I think those are some key ideas that you can go away with from us today.
10 things. So we've just given you 10 things. Just as a reminder of what we said off the top, what we're looking for, we're looking for some feedback from a choose your own adventure perspective. So at the end of this webinar, we're going to come back and answer any questions. Please put questions in the Q&A. The other thing that we'd like you to do is fill out the poll. So I just made the poll live. And there's 2 questions in the poll, one of which you can answer now and one of which you may want to wait until the next section to answer. So the first question is, which of those tips that we just went over do you want to learn more about? Do you want us to talk a little bit more about? And then the second question is some of the do's and don'ts of good meetings. So we're going to go through, we've got 9 different areas that we want to go through with you of do's and don'ts of good meetings. And I'm going to tell you why this thing is behind me here, which for those that have been in our other webinars may be wondering why I have this thing in the background. So Jermaine, why don't you kick us off on the meeting front?
Yeah, happy to do it. The other big thing is here, we want to make meetings more effective, but we also got to make sure that we remember that we, as the persons being either attending or running the meetings, need to have that focus and space in the right place, right? So scheduling back-to-back meetings, I mean, we all went through it during the pandemic and we're still clawing our way back from the no commute in between meetings, etc. So we're, oh no, I need a coffee. I've only got 11 seconds before the next meeting. And your mind is on the coffee. It's on what just happened in the last meeting. You've had no decompression time or anything in between. One of the cool things that you can do with your Outlook is you can actually set the amount of minutes you want to shorten your meetings in Outlook. So as an example, this is my calendar. All of my meetings that I do are shortened. If they're 30 minutes, they're shortened by 8 minutes. So the meeting only actually runs for 22. And 5 minutes before the 22-minute mark, it says, hey, you only have 5 minutes left in your meeting. So that I get 8 minutes of breathing space between the current meeting I'm in and the next meeting, which is good for me mentally. It's good for me socially. I get to chat, grab my coffee, take whatever bio breaks are necessary and come back. And then I'm refreshed for the next one. And meetings that are an hour, I put 15 minutes on it. So at the 45-minute mark, the meeting's done. 5 minutes before 45, it gives me a reminder saying, hey, you only got 5 minutes. Let's wrap this up and then move along. And then I get 15 minutes because I've just spent 45 minutes focusing in on a specific meeting and trying to bring my full attention to that. So super important, schedule those breaks, train yourself to take some you time in between all those meetings. So we avoid the burnout and we avoid the challenge of being late for meetings and, oh no, I'm gonna be 5 minutes late, see you, I really need a break for a coffee, give me 5 minutes. So then you kind of run through your entire day with the 5 minutes and it accumulates. End of the day, you're 35 minutes late for your last meeting. So things like
awesome.
that.
So speaking of running late, we got a bunch of things that we got to go through. So we're going to keep on flowing through. The next thing that we found really useful for meetings is instead of don't take notes manually. Why not have the robots do that for you? Use Microsoft's AI engine. So when you're within Teams, turn on transcription. We do this all the time for internal meetings, interviews with potential job candidates, that sort of thing. And you can have it take notes for you, and you can say, hey, this is an action item, and it will highlight different action items so that you can go back and you can look at those meeting notes and everybody in the meeting can get a really good idea of what the key action items. And you can go further with this. If you have people that speak French, Spanish, from different parts of the world, maybe English isn't their first language, and they're having trouble understanding, or you're a multinational company, or you're dealing with suppliers all over, you can turn on captions and you can change the language of the captions within Teams. So you can actually have a live translation going on as you're running your meeting. Think about the impact of that. If you don't speak, or maybe you're working in a foreign country and they're not speaking English, and you can get immediate translation of what's going on, and you can make sure that nobody's talking about you or saying anything mean, and you understand what's going on.
Absolutely. And then, in meetings, we want to make sure that people are keeping focused. You don't want to take away, oh, what did you say there? Let me write this note. You want to keep them engaged, focused on what's happening in the meeting so you get your best work out of it. So you don't want to be, excuse me, I have a question, or let me interrupt the person that's presenting. What you can do here is go ahead and use, during that meeting, use chat within the team. So you have a meeting, that meeting has its own chat. And we've done a few onboardings where we've got the onboarding call going. The client and their team members are all in there, and their team members are blowing up the chat, really enjoying, and they're asking questions and adding topics to the discussion as we go along without interrupting the person that's presenting. And they're focused in. They're like, yes, this is great. Let me get my question out, put it in the chat. And then as we go through, we go ahead and we answer those questions, because we can also see the live chat coming up during that presentation or during that meeting. And it really improves the way, because people can now get the thing off of their chest that they want. It doesn't interrupt everyone else listening to what they're doing. And they have a way to go back and read that as you continue through that. The other way that you do that as well is if you go ahead and you create a company team for meetings. So as an example, we do a lot of meetings related to our specific teams within the organization. And when we do that, what we do is we go ahead and we create a specific company team. And that company team, what it does is, everybody that's working on that, the problem here, they're wasting time looking for who's got the documents, where's the information, are we up to date in this project? So in order to get rid of all of that wasted time and have a good meeting and have a single place where we can go find everything, we create a team that is, annual planning, as an example. Add all the people to annual planning, put everyone in there. So all the documents and everything that they create, all the meetings that we have, all the notes, all the transcripts are all in one place. So whenever we want to look at annual planning 2023, you go to that team and you can see everything and you get all the updates, and there's no more searching around. Even if SharePoint's amazing and easy to search, you can find everything you're looking for in the blink of an eye, and everybody's informed.
Now, we all want to have better engagement in meetings, and so many businesses these days are working with hybrid teams. Some folks are in the office, some folks are elsewhere. Here are a few tips for how you can improve that engagement, that quality of interaction. Number one, make everybody turn on the cameras. We've been doing this for years. As soon as somebody turns off their camera in a meeting, it's like a license to half participate or not be involved or stuff like that. If you were there in a boardroom, you can't turn off your camera, right?
Well, you can't turn your face off.
Well, yeah, I guess you could close your eyes, but if you close your eyes in a meeting, that's quite the nonverbal cue. And those nonverbal cues are super important. You can further improve the quality of that interaction, like a little thumbs up, a smiley face, a heart. However you do it as you go on, you don't have to interrupt somebody that's talking, but all of a sudden there's a little bit more energy in that meeting, right? Because it's like putting in the chat, like, hey, this is great. This is awesome. Like little bits of like feedback coming through and emojis and stuff like that. It just creates that better engagement and leads to a meeting with, there's more to that meeting.
That's excellent. And to add to that, as you go through all this great meeting stuff, focused on how people are doing their one-to-ones, what they're about, like keeping track of every employee that's under your purview, and their training plans and how they're progressing day to day within the organization could be a pain if you're not using some form of tool to ensure you're tracking that. Within Teams, there are several applications that you can open up that'll give you an opportunity to have recurring meetings that are booked in, that leverage everything we've talked about so far. And you can keep track of each individual's progress, their one-to-ones, their overall goals in the organization, and have that all, again, centralized and recorded in a specific place so that you can see that growth and development of that person and set up automated reminders. Your one-to-one is coming up. here's our agenda, make sure you add your own agenda items, etc. And you keep that so well structured that you don't have to send 5 emails. Hey, are we still meeting this week? What are you doing? Also, do we have a meeting room? Did you get notes from the last time? You can just go in, look at the previous meeting notes, everything in one place, and keep track of each individual's progress, working through and managing your team and the people on there. So pretty important one that you can just kind of have there right in your Microsoft Teams again.
All right, so time for our last but not least. So one of the most important things to me for running a good meeting are the tools that you're using in a meeting. So I'm just going to show you, well, let's start with the basic tools. So the basic tools, if the video and the audio is no good, it's going to be really hard to have that meeting. Like, I think we've all been in those meetings where it's like, boardroom, I can't hear you. What did you what did Sally say something? What happened?
Who was speaking? Who was just speaking?
Was that a noise? Was that a cough, or was that a comment? Right? How do you run it? You can't run an effective meeting that way. So think about your audio, the video. In our office, we've got a bunch of great tools that we use. Anybody that wants to come check them out, we're happy to sort of do a walkthrough and show you. And there's some stuff that that we use. We got, this is our new toy. We just got a Surface Hub in here, and we ran a staff meeting last night for the first time. So we had 2 different cameras. We had a camera from this hub that was going on, and I was taking our team through a presentation and going through a bunch of different stuff. And it's kind of fun because you can make notes on the screen and make changes and talk about that, and you can engage. You've got another camera you can engage in a different way that's beyond just the classic meeting type of template. So it gives you that opportunity just to engage people a little bit better than you normally would.
And it's fun.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's cool. Okay, congratulations. That was 19 different tips and suggestions for how you can deal with email overload and better running meetings. So here's one more suggestion for you. Here's your bonus. Here's number 20. We have a brand new productivity assessment that we've just done. This is something that we've built through dealing with we have over 50 clients around the GTA. We've got a process that we run on a proactive basis that reviews them against best practices standards, gets them aligned to those best practices standards, and builds out a productivity roadmap. So what we decided that we would do is we would extend this and give an opportunity for folks that are on this webinar. So we created a productivity assessment, and what it is if you fill out this form, so if you use this QR code on your phone and go and fill out this form, it'll ask you a bunch of questions about the different technology that you're using. Some of it's not super technical, but some of it you may have to ask somebody else about, or if you're the person that's running the technology in the office or responsible, you may know the answers to these questions. When you fill out this form, it'll come to us, and we will book a call with you. And over the course of half hour, 45 minutes, because we don't book hour-long meetings, we book meetings that are 45 minutes long. We'll give you our recommendation. We'll give you our assessment of what are the different things that you could do to supercharge your staff. Right? We'll talk a little bit more with you about how you're using technology, and analyze it, look at the results of the form that you put in there, and have you walk away with a bunch of suggestions that you can implement right away to really boost the productivity of your team, which is our goal. We want to help. We want to give you some good suggestions. Should you not want to fill out that form, if you want to just reach out to us, our inboxes are very well managed. So if you email us, you will get a response. We will be happy to talk to us, or you can phone. Those are both Jermaine and mine direct numbers, and we can have a chat. So that's it for the main part of our webinar today. As we said, please fill out. I see most folks have filled out the survey. There's still a few left. Pop up the poll or the poll survey and fill out anything that you want us to dive a little bit deeper in. If you have a question, please put it into the Q&A, and we're happy to go through. So Jermaine, I'm looking at our poll results here, and the area by far that people are looking for us to dive a little bit deeper into is Teams and Task Planner. So do you want to take that on and talk a little bit more about how that works?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for filling out the poll. Task Planner is one of the apps that's already built into Teams. It's included with your subscription. So very important to note there, it's already included with your subscription. So you can go into there and it gives you tips that you can follow through. For those of you who remember Clippy, the little paperclip guy from Microsoft back in the day, today he's gone, but there's still really key easy ways where they highlight, here's what you do next. Here's how you can build out that list of items that now you can just right click on it and assign it to a team member. The team member then goes ahead and it works like a project planning and management tool, but it's just for tasks that people do on a repeatable basis to ensure that they're able to keep track of their days. If you've ever had the little notebook where you write a ton of stuff down and then you flip the page over and you only do the stuff on the new page because you've turned the pages out of sight, out of mind, you want to be able to do that. So you can type in a task quite easily in there, whatever comes to mind. And then you go ahead and you can set the date and time that you want it completed by, assign it to someone straight out of that Teams meeting. And then that task ends up in their email. They get a notification in their Teams, and then based on that, they can go ahead and complete it, check it off, it's partially done, halfway done, etc. And then they can get more information coming out of that. Now, for yourself, as the person that's assigning all of that, it rolls up all of the data from the open tasks that you've assigned to other people. And you can actually look at those tasks by task completion date and time, tasks that are have missed their deadlines, and then the progress tree. So you're able to actually look into a collective calendar and see where all the taskbars are and what level of completion they're at, which is super important because then it gives you kind of a single pane of glass to look at all of the open tasks that you have with your different team members.
Yeah, it's interesting when I'm looking at the example we gave. There's the group by bucket. You can filter out. There's charts that you can put in place here. And I could probably roll this a little bit more.
Wow, that's very mobile. Look at that.
See, it's very mobile. Yeah, this thing goes all over our office. And we can do this. It's really easy to add a task to different groups and arrange it however you want and see what's been completed, what hasn't been completed as you go through on there. I realize there's a little bit of a glare from the light there, but hopefully that gives you a bit of a sense of what you can do there. If there's anything else on the planner front that you want us to dive into a little bit more, just put something in the Q&A there, and we're happy to come back to it. And I think that one of the most important things that Jermaine mentioned there is this is already included in what you're already paying for, right? Here's an example of something that a lot of folks aren't using, that they could be using, and just better utilizing what you're already paying for. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's maybe we'll take a couple more. Jermaine, I think one of the other areas in the email overload was actually the second most popular one was scheduling polls and assistant, and collecting info through forms. So that being able to use the different data collection tools.
Right.
So when in order to use that schedule, poll, assistant type of thing, is that something that's got to be turned on in the back end, or is that something that's already there within people's Outlook?
So, you know, if you're If you're one of our clients, it's already there in your Outlook. It's already been configured. It's already been turned on and aligned as one of our productivity standards. If you're not one of our clients, you can easily go in and add that. Just look for the app in your app store in your Microsoft Teams and right click on the app, add it to my Outlook. And it goes through, we push it out as an automatic add across our client base. So it's done by the robots, not each individual person. But for yourselves, if you haven't got that turned on, you can go ahead and you can integrate your Zoom, you can integrate your polls, all of this into your Outlook pane of glass and just be able to click on it and see all of your meetings and go ahead. And because those two things are integrated, when you go and you click on that button and it pulls up and you create your questions that you want to add into the email, it then goes right ahead and just populates it. So it's an easy enough add to do manually for an individual, one person, great. If you want to push something out like this across your entire organization, we do that via a policy through a standard alignment that then pushes that out as a standard from a global level for your organization to give everybody access to that. It's important to note too, unfortunately, your friends over at Google, Gmail, or otherwise may have some challenges being able to open and answer the poll because they're not in the Microsoft space. I do know that they're working on a fix for that. So they're definitely not excluding external mail carriers as well.
Let me, I just want to show here, just because I think it would be useful. So here's right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor popping up here. It says here's a new scheduling poll, right? So this is what Jermaine was referring to. This is right within here, and you can go and you can create it. You can create it right within here. Click the button, and you're off to the races. On the simple poll that this simple poll, different poll, I've pinned it in my Outlook because I use it so often. So one of the things, you can go to options and you see options when you go to click a certain part, something that's in Outlook. We can customize this based on our own workflow, what we use more often. And we can make sure that this is showing up right here, because it makes it easier. If I just have a button and I'm going to click, it saves me a bunch of steps of going to options and kind of playing around with that. All right, what else do we have in our polls world? I'm really enjoying playing around with my Surface Hub. It may just stay in my office. I might not share it with people anymore.
Yeah, just what be careful what you wish for, because that means we're getting a second one.
Yeah, okay, well, maybe we won't do these aren't really cheap, by the way. Okay, let's move over to a meeting one. Oh, our winner on the meeting front was transcription in Teams. Okay, so what do we have to do in order to turn on transcription in Teams, Jermaine?
So you got two options. If you're like me and you like to standardize things and just do it automatically for everything, I've turned on the permanent transcription in my Teams. So every meeting that I have, I go in, I don't need to go and click the button and say, hey, let me turn on transcription, because I turn it on globally in our, it's one of our standards that we turn on globally for our team, so that people don't need to do that. Once we've approved the standard and we've tested it out and we roll it out across the organization. So, but once for you doing it individually, when you load a meeting up, you just click on the three dots in your team and it gives you the option to record. It gives you the option to transcribe or record and transcribe. So transcription can be turned on where it only takes the notes, does not record the screen or the video of the people that are in the meeting. Or if you want the option to do both, then you can do both. And it's just the ellipses right above the meeting. You click the button and it says you can just select record. So it's right over there. Yeah, maybe you can draw that in fancy orange or sunshine yellow. But yeah, it looks good. But yeah, that one's a good one. Again, the only caveat with it is, as the AI takes time to learn, accents and the different way people pronounce words. There will be a little bit of discrepancies in the minutes of that meeting and in the transcription. So just look out for those. There's a good chance the person may not have said that word that might have popped up in there.
Okay, so two questions that have come in on this front. One, is that included in all Microsoft 365 licensing, or do you have to have a specific license in order to turn it on?
So as long as you have the Teams licensing, so the business standard licensing and upwards, yes, it'll be available. The email only style licensing or frontline workers licensing or the F licensing across the base, those ones are designed only for email, external, and so on. They don't do the Teams portion. So any business standard license and higher will have it included.
Okay, so two other things. One is I was thinking as you were talking, it was just emphasize reactive IT waits until a bunch of people in the organization say, hey, I heard about this transcription thing, or I was on a webinar. Can you turn on transcription? Right? Proactive IT, standards-based IT has processes where somebody is auditing, reviewing, and aligning to best practices and looking for opportunities to boost productivity across your team, and is enabling these features because we know they're going to enable your staff to be more productive, right? And so there's I wanted to point that out because it's an example of where sometimes stuff can be inherently reactive, like you just have to put in a new service ticket or new request to the help desk or the IT team or stuff like that, when it really shouldn't be that way. Okay, last question just related to this, and then we're going to wrap up. How can you create action items off the transcript? So Jermaine, this is something that you do on a regular basis. Maybe you can take this one.
For sure. Thank you. Great question. So this one's a lot easier than you think. If you think about a notepad and you're going to make a list of groceries or action items or takeaways or tasks, you write the words down, action items, and you put them in the notes. You do the same thing. It's just a way of working. You identify during your speech, you say, okay, Brendan, I would like to assign an action item to you. Please do ABC. And once you say that, what you can do later on is you can roll up the transcript and sort it by the words action items, and it'll list out everything that includes or comes within that action item section, right? So it's pretty easy. You're just saying it, and then you're sorting by the action item. If you like saying banana, you can say banana throughout the thing, and whatever comes after banana in the section of the transcript, you'll be able to pull out. So it's a lot less manual. One of the key aspects that I do at the end of every meeting is I say, okay, so let's just run through a summary of our action items. And then I list off all of the things that we have as action items. So I end up putting it into the transcript at the end and throughout the transcript as well. So it's really easy. Here's the list of things I'd like you to do. Please share the Surface Hub with the team. Please also send a recording to all of the people who attended and stayed with us on the webinar today, which we're very appreciative of. And also, please make sure that we leave our phone lines open so that we can take all the phone calls on this for the rest of the week.
That is I think that's a really good way to end. In terms of action items, I would suggest that the people in this webinar have a couple action items. One, have a think about how you're using these different pieces of technology, and what is there an idea or two or three from this that you can implement. Number two, fill out our productivity assessment, and spend some time, fill out that form, email us if you didn't get to it when we had it up on the screen, and we can send it to you. Fill that out. We'll book a call for 43 or 45 minutes, and we'll go through with you our recommendations on ways that you can supercharge your team's productivity and make their inbox an email overload, and help them to better deal with it.
Great.
Jermaine, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, thank you. I appreciate everyone. Thank you very much for attending.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for joining us today and letting me play with our new toy. And hopefully you found this this session useful. Don't forget, sign up for our next webinar, Tales from the Front Lines of the Cybersecurity Battle, and have a wonderful day. Jermaine, thank you very much. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll talk to you soon.
Sure.